Hello everyone, welcome to my living room makeover series, where I show you how I'm remodeling my rental apartment on a budget, mainly by building my own furniture, restoring junkyard items and much more. Today's episode is all about restoring a junkyard coffee table into a warm and rustic dream piece. Let's get started. So, 3 years ago, our apartment was a collection of mismatched second-hand furniture, like this coffee table for instance, which we got from a lovely restaurant owner. It was a little rough around the edges, but I knew that with a little love, it could be restored into a gorgeous piece of furniture. The trouble was, I had almost zero experience with woodworking at this point of time. I knew I wouldn't be able to do anything with the tabletop, so I just decided to take it off. And I somehow managed to do that with just a chisel and a pestle, because back then I didn't even own a hammer. Since this was originally a dining table for a restaurant, I also had to shorten its legs. But sawing off such bulky wooden legs was beyond my capabilities because I didn't own enough instruments for it. Thankfully, I understood my limits and called for reinforcement. After going back and forth on whether we should go for a glass top or a regular wooden top, we settled for a 3x4 square feet plywood piece. To add a little bit of character, I sawed off about an inch around the corners diagonally.
And this is not too small, this is not too big. This is the perfect size here.
I decided to stain the top and paint the rest of the table with Asian Paint's Walnut shade. When it came to attaching the tabletop, I had this brilliant idea to go with exposed screw tops. I know, cringe. This amateur restoration only got worse with time because I resorted to using this coffee table as the stage for all my carpentry projects. So of course, the tabletop ended up looking something like this after years of torture. And I knew I had to fix it. Through much trial and error, I have managed to learn a few things about woodworking in the last couple of years. But I knew that if I were to restore this coffee table properly, I would have to resurrect the original planks for the top, which by the way had been sitting outside in nature for quite some time now. First, I removed all the nails. These were dangerously rusted and could easily get you a ticket to the ER. After that, I gave the planks a good cleaning with soap and water to get rid of all the gunk. While those were drying, I removed the plywood top from the coffee table, which by the way I will be recycling for my next project. I sanded the edges of the table to make sure the top sat flush. Then I filled the uneven and gaping areas with wood filler. Moving on to attaching this resurrected tabletop, I pre-drilled 2 pilot holes on each side of every plank. To fix what I had screwed up the last time, I went in with a countersink drill bit to make a wider entrance to the pilot holes. Countersink holes basically ensure that your screw heads are sitting flush with the wood top instead of sticking out, like mine did the last time. After that, you can just camouflage these holes with some wood filler. It's that easy. Once these planks were fixed in place, I sanded everything down to get a smooth surface before I moved on to the next crucial part. After struggling with the wood filler tub for quite a good while, I used it to fill all the prominent cracks and crevices that made these planks unusable previously. This part required a lot of sanding, a lot of patience, and a stellar episode of Dairy Girls to keep me in the zone.
I am a Dairy Girl!
Next, it was time to prime everything. After the primer had dried overnight, I moved on to apply a coat of golden brown enamel all over the table. Let me explain why I did that. The table's natural wood grain was just not popping with any kind of stain because it was that far gone. So I tried to create a new one. I scoured the internet for some professional advice, and I learned that most carpenters have this very straightforward technique to achieve a faux wood grain. First, you go in with a base coat of golden brown paint. Then you either draw by hand or use one of these plastic tools to create a faux wood grain with a darker paint. And I did exactly that. The end result, however, was far from impressive. I guess experience pays off with this technique, and I didn't have that. But what I knew is that I needed to fix this quickly. So I just decided to remove the paint and start from scratch. Honestly, I was panicking at this point. So I kind of just stopped recording and took a minute to figure out my next step. Off camera, I experimented with a few things, and of them all, what worked the best was a sort of wood filler patchwork. Basically, I drew a grain-like texture across the surface using wood filler. Then I went in with a 2:1 mixture of wood stain and turpentine, basically diluting the stuff. And it did not look half bad. After this, I just eyeballed layers of wood filler and wood stain to create the most grain-like appearance possible. I let all of that dry for a few hours, then went in with my trusted melamine top coat. This is not a sponsorship, I just genuinely like this product. It not only gives the surface a really good shine, but also makes a high traffic area like a coffee table very easy to clean. Also, it just looks very pretty, even in fluorescent lighting. Sometimes when I'm drowning in a sewage of anxiety, I have these rare moments of accidental breakthroughs. Making a faux wood grain using wood filler was one of those moments. But what do you think? Was I able to do some justice to this junkyard coffee table? Was I able to restore it to some level of glory? Let me know in the comment section. And don't forget to like and subscribe, especially if you want to follow along with my living room makeover series. Take care, and I'll see you soon.